Welcome back to The Explainer. You know, if you've ever looked at one of those incredibly sleek, complex websites and just wondered, how did they actually pull this off from the ground up? Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to take a literal step-by-step look behind the scenes. We're talking blueprints, the builders, and the entire architecture of the modern web.
All right, I want you to put yourself in the shoes of a project manager for just a second. Imagine you just landed a massive contract. You're overseeing a sprawling online storefront that's going to handle millions of visitors. Where do you even begin? What does it actually take to build a modern website of that scale? Because trust me, it's not just sitting in a dark room typing code into the void. It is a highly structured, almost architectural process.
Okay, let's dive into this roadmap. Step 1, blueprinting your structure. Step 2, assembling your crew. Step 3, pouring the foundation. And finally, Step 4, opening the storefront.
All right, kicking things off with step 1, blueprinting your structure, which is all about planning that digital hierarchy.
So before any actual building happens, you need a solid map of how users will naturally navigate the space. It's a lot like walking through a physical building. People come through the front door, right? That's your homepage, your main entry point. From there, they wander into the main sections, maybe about us or services. Then they drill down a bit deeper into subpages. And finally, they reach those specific content pages, like an exact product or a single blog post. Getting this logical flow right is absolutely vital for a good user experience. And to keep folks from getting completely lost in that hierarchy, your blueprint needs 3 absolute structural must-haves. You've got your navigation menu, your content pages, and your footer section. You can really think of the navigation menu and the footer as the load-bearing support beams of your site. The navigation seamlessly moves people from room to room, while the footer anchors the bottom of every single page. So no matter where a user ends up wandering, they can always find contact info, privacy policies, and all those important links. Moving right along to step 2, assembling your crew, the web development team. At the very top of our organizational chart, we have the project manager. Think of this person as the site foreman. They are the leader who kicks off the work, orchestrates the entire crew, keeps everyone on a timeline, and basically makes sure the client's actual vision comes to life. Literally, everything flows through the PM. Now, the very first handoff happens when that project manager passes the site blueprint over to the web designer. The designer is your visual architect. They aren't in the weeds writing complex back-end code. Instead, they're focused purely on the user interface, the colors, the layout, the overall appearance. They draft the visual wireframe so the whole team knows exactly what the finished product should actually look like. Okay, let's see how this builds out. Once those visual layouts are drafted, the designer hands them straight to the web developer. The developer is the technical builder who actually pours the concrete and erects the steel. They write the code that transforms a static picture into a fully functioning website. They implement the clickable functionality and ensure all those complicated back-end systems are actually talking to each other. Simultaneously, while the developer is putting up the walls and rooms, the content writer steps in. Because, let's be real, a beautifully coded website is completely useless if it's empty. The writer is the communicator, populating those newly coded pages with the actual messaging. The compelling articles, the persuasive product descriptions, the brand story, they are the ones giving the website its voice. Now, working quietly in the background, right alongside the developer, is the database administrator. Think of them as the vault keeper. They're the invisible backbone of the whole operation. They make sure that when a user creates an account or, say, buys a product, all of that data is safely stored, highly secure, and routed to the correct servers instantly. All right, so the site is built and filled with content. Enter the SEO specialist. Look, there is 0 point in building a multi-million-dollar storefront if it's hidden down a dark alleyway where nobody can find it. This marketer optimizes the site so search engines like Google rank it highly. They basically ensure organic foot traffic actually walks through your digital front door. And finally, right before we cut the red ribbon, we bring in the tester. They are the strict building inspector. Their entire job is rigorous quality assurance. They are actively hunting for bugs, clicking on every single broken link, basically doing everything in their power to break the developer's hard work before the public ever sees it. The site does not launch until the tester signs off. Which brings us to step 3, pouring the foundation, static versus dynamic architecture. Now, what's really interesting to note is the stark contrast in how information actually moves, depending on your foundation. A static architecture uses a super fixed, straightforward flow.
The user requests a page, the HTML page is served, and they see the exact same content every single time. It stays that way until a developer manually goes in and changes the code. But dynamically, it's a continuous interactive loop. The user makes a request, the web server talks to a database, grabs specific information, and serves up dynamic content that is customized for that specific user, right in real time.
Let's quickly break down the practical trade-offs here. Why would a team go with one over the other? Well, a static website doesn't need a database, which makes it incredibly fast and super simple to host. It's completely perfect for something like a static portfolio where things just don't change much. But a dynamic website? That absolutely requires a database. It's definitely more complex, maybe moderately slower to load sometimes, but the massive payoff is that it can change frequently based on user interaction. Think about Facebook or Amazon. Every time you refresh, the content changes. You literally cannot build modern interactive sites without a dynamic foundation. And that takes us to step 4, opening the storefront and choosing your types and portals. Depending on the client's overarching organizational goals, the site is going to fall into one of a few core classifications. It might be personal, like a blog or an online resume for personal branding. It could be commercial, heavily focused on driving sales through an online store. Maybe it's government, providing public services and tax information. Or it could be a nonprofit site, completely designed around fundraising and building awareness. Everything the team has built up to this point is tailored to serve the specific goals of one of these categories.
But sometimes a standard website just doesn't cut it. Sometimes the crew is tasked with building a web portal. A portal is essentially a massive multi-purpose storefront. It acts as a single gateway that pulls in services, information, and resources from a bunch of different sources into one interface. So it's not just a digital brochure, it's a huge hub for news, email, complex databases, and secure logins, all living under one single roof.
So the crucial point to understand is that portals generally come in 2 flavors, broad and niche. Horizontal portals are the broad ones. Think of Yahoo or MSN. They give you a huge horizontal range of stuff, news, weather, search capabilities across totally different categories. Vertical portals, on the flip side, are highly focused. They drill incredibly deep into one specific industry. We're talking dedicated medical portals for healthcare workers or highly secure banking portals.
And honestly, the real power of these portals is just how specialized they can get for dedicated groups. Enterprise portals hook employees up with HR tools and intranets. Educational portals turn a website into a fully functional classroom tool where students can check grades and upload assignments. Government portals let citizens securely file their taxes, and personal portals let you build completely customized news feeds and dashboards for your own daily workflow. These are seriously heavy-duty dynamic architectures at work.
Which leaves us with this final overarching question. What will your next web project be? Whether you're gearing up to oversee a massive commercial portal or you just want to code your own simple, static personal portfolio, you now have the blueprints. But always remember, the architecture is only ever as good as the team building it. Thanks for taking this masterclass with me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep building, and I will catch you next time.